Stanley Cup hasn't come back to Canada in 30 plus years, and we have a great opportunity to do that this year.
You joined the Oilers in 2021. How does playing for such a storied franchise like the Oilers compare to some of the other teams you may have played for?
Yeah, I think anytime you play for a team with such a rich history, like the Edmonton Oilers, especially being in Canada, the pressure and the passion that this fan base provides is incredible. And I think being a Canadian myself, obviously growing up playing hockey my entire life, there's just something special about having that opportunity to play for a storied franchise like Edmonton in the playoffs with a chance to win. I think, the Stanley Cup hasn't come back to Canada in 30 plus years, and we have a great opportunity to do that this year.
Mm-hmm. We interviewed Wayne Gretzky a few years back, and he humbly said, Connor McDavid is better than he is. So from what you've seen these past few years playing so closely with him, do you think that there's any truth to that?
I think you could make the argument for sure. I think, today's NHL player is a lot different, just like every athlete in all different types of sports. But I don't know if the NHL has ever seen somebody with that type of skill set who can operate at the speed that Connor does. So I don't think anybody in hockey can tell you they've seen that level of skill before. And, Wayne obviously is a great person to attest to that.
Yeah. And Evander, you just mentioned it. It's been over 30 years since any of the Canadian NHL teams won a Stanley Cup, which is kind of wild, at least in my opinion, to think about, seeing how big the sport is in that country. Why do you think that the Canadian teams have struggled just struggled to close the deal for so long?
Yeah, just it's a numbers game. Obviously, there's 7 NHL teams in Canada, versus the other 25. So now that we have, that's probably one element of it. I think also too, it's not easy playing in Canada. It's a privilege. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great opportunities when you play for a Canadian team. But I think sometimes the pressure of the fan bases and the scrutiny sometimes can play an effect depending on what city and what franchise you're playing for. I think we're pretty lucky here in Edmonton, and hopefully we can use that to our advantage.
Yeah. I want to look elsewhere in the NHL. The Rangers just made quick work of the Capitol, and shockingly, Ovechkin didn't register a single point in that game. Do you think that was just like a run of bad luck, or do you feel like age is starting to catch up? What did you take away from that?
No, the Rangers are a really good team. They've proven it all year long. Washington was the team that managed to get into the playoffs with an array of other teams fighting for that last wild card spot. So I think any team who was going to be in that position playing New York, was probably behind the 8 ball a little bit. When it comes to Ovi, he's the greatest goal scorer in my opinion of all time. At the same time, for him not to register a point, it's hard to score in the playoffs. It's hard to score against good teams. And sometimes it just doesn't go your way. So, probably an anomaly for him. I can't see that happening again, but like I said, New York's a really good team, and they made quick work with Washington.
You joined the league in 2009, which was really during the height of the Ovechkin versus Crosby era. I think you'll probably go with your countrymen here, but whose game were you more of a fan of when you came into the league?
You know what? I was honestly more of a fan of Ovechkin, obviously, just because of the way he scored goals and watching him. And that entire Caps team just before I came in the league was really entertaining. They had some really high offensive players that, just made it fun to watch. And I was definitely came into the league at the height of the Crosby-Ovechkin rivalry. When I was in Atlanta, on the wrong end of a lot of those games, both guys usually lit us up for hat tricks. So that wasn't a whole lot of fun. But Sid is such a great player, and obviously kind of just does everything, touches in all areas of the game, and both incredible players, but I think very different players.
Do you think there's a comparable rivalry right now in the NHL between two players kind of similar to them?
You could go a lot of different guys, and my teammates probably at the center of a couple of those rivalries. You could go Austin Matthews, you could go Nathan McKinnon in Colorado. So there's lots of different rivalries among different guys in the league that maybe aren't notable names, but they can be for other reasons.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll pick your Oilers to go all the way up to the finals in the West, but what team out of the East do you like the most to make it to the Stanley Cup right now?
It's a good question. The Rangers have been really good all year long. It looks like Boston's going to probably take care of Toronto, and they're going to end up playing. Who are they going to end up playing? They're going to end up playing Florida. And Florida's a good team too. They'll be a tough team. I might have to go with Florida. I think Florida might come out of the East again and lose, hopefully.
Yeah.
in the finals.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA Today Sports.